This forum is a forum for the Central Committee of the Democratic Party. Based on this forum and on other information we have tomorrow, the committee will make a decision regarding our endorsement. We have a couple of different options that we can do. We can endorse one candidate, we can endorse two candidates, we can even endorse three candidates, or we can endorse all three candidates. All of those are options to us. And so we decided that what we would do is have a forum with an opportunity to have the board members get the information. That's why this forum is taking place. So it's primarily a purpose for the board to see. That's why we're also videotaping it. Not everybody could make it here, but tomorrow we have a meeting so people could view it in between. So that's what the purpose is of the forum. Thanks for being here, Mr. Alejo, Assemblymember Alejo, candidate for District 1 of the Board of Supervisors. We also have two other candidates, Fernando Armenta, who's current supervisor. He was invited and he submitted the paperwork, but he decided not to stay here, so he's not going to be here tonight, as far as I can tell. Tony Barrera decided not to participate, not submit the questionnaire, so that's the circumstance we're in right now. But the show must go on. We have a race, we have a decision to make tomorrow night, so we want to keep going along. All right, any questions before we get started? So the one other thing I want to mention is, oh yeah, go ahead.
Can you come before the board members that are present?
I'm sorry?
The board members that are present for the Central Committee?
Can I introduce them?
Yeah, are they here?
Yes, some of them are here. Okay, so Regina Gage, Secretary of the Democratic Central Committee. Vince Kohler, Chair of the Democratic Central Committee. James Green, member of the Central Committee, District 1.
This very district.
This very district, so he's a representative. Elena Loomis, District 5. So that's, and David Comm, he's a representative of the Greenfield Valley,
I'll pick off the
Greenfield Democratic Club. Do we have any other members here? Ron Cheshire is outside. Alinda, she's a member as an alternate. Of course, Luis Alejo is a member. Assembly member, our state senator, both of our assembly members that cover the county are members. Sam Farr, as our elected House member, is a member, and they all have alternates on the committee who come to this committee. So I ask you to bear with us. This is not a rally. This is a forum, so we want to hear from the candidate. That's the most important thing. Hold the applause, please. So that we can get through the questions efficiently, and then we're going to get, you can certainly acknowledge our candidate right now. So, all right. All right, so the way this works in terms of timing, we have a 2-minute opening statement. You need to come up here. We can't have you back there, so you need a seat closer up. So just pull a chair right here. Can we pull a chair? David, can you pull a chair?
I got one. Get it.
Okay. I need to get it. So Elena is the timekeeper. The way this works is she has two signs. One is wrap it up, and the other one is stop now. The wrap it up comes up at about 20 seconds before the end. We have 2-minute opening statement. We have a minute time for each question, unless we indicate this is really a 2-minute question. There's a lot of questions that cannot be answered in 1 minute, but we're going to ask that anyway, again, with the interest of time. So, anything else that we need to say? Camera rolling, are we good? All right, thank you. So I'm going to turn this over to, well, I'm going to give the mic to Luis for the opening statement. You've got 2 minutes.
Thank you very much, everybody. I want to appreciate you all coming out tonight.
This is really a pleasure to come before you, all the young people here, all the supporters, the residents of District 1, and also the members of the Central Committee. It's really an honor to come and ask for the support of the Monterey County Democratic Party. I've been a long-life Democrat, and I want to win my campaign with the support of my party, with my fellow Democratic activists, because it's about trying to uplift the families and our people in District 1, a part of Salinas that is really struggling with the growing homelessness crisis, with the growing unemployment, a lack of jobs, a lack of affordable housing. There's a lot of struggles, but I can't do this on my own. I like doing it as a community and certainly with the Democratic Party. Because there's some Spanish speakers, I'll just use some of my time to address them as well. Es un gran honor de estar aquí enfrente de ustedes, como miembros de la comunidad, para contestar preguntas. Estoy corriendo para Distrito 1 en la mesa de los supervisores del condado de Monterey. Y sabemos que en este distrito hay mucha necesidad, pobreza, falta de casas económicos, la violencia, falta de trabajos. Pero yo quiero seguir trabajando para mejorar el Distrito 1 y la ciudad de Salinas, pero no solo, pero con el apoyo de la comunidad. Y yo lo quiero hacer también con el apoyo del Partido Demócrata. Yo he sido activo por años. Antes de estar en la política, yo era parte del comité central del Partido Demócrata y quiero seguir con ese apoyo en cada paso de mi carrera política. I just want to say I came out of the Democratic Party, serving on the Central Committee, helping other Democrats get elected long before I ever ran for office. And I was honored to win the Young Democrat of the Year for the State Democratic Party in 2008 and for the region. And certainly I was being proud to serve as your state assembly member, getting a lot of good work done in Sacramento, but I think legislation and bills that improve the lives of millions of Californians all over the state. Durante mi tiempo en Sacramento he logrado hacer muchas cosas para mejorar las vidas de millones de familias por todo el estado. Muchas gracias.
We will start our forum of one, and thank you again for your patience. I speak only English. I've been meaning to take those Spanish classes, but sorry. So bear with me. So, Assemblymember Alejo, thank you. The first question is a 1-minute question. In 2014, in Monterey County, 1 in 4 children grew up in poverty. Has the Board of Supervisors done enough to address this issue? What would you do to work towards a reduction?
There's a growing homelessness crisis in Monterey County and certainly a growing poverty, growing income inequality in Monterey County. I think that the Board of Supervisors unfortunately hasn't done enough. But it's not only a local problem, this is a statewide problem. It's happening all over the state of California. And so that's why we got to work to build more affordable housing in Monterey County. You know that one of the greatest contributors to poverty is a lack of housing. There's over a million families in California where they spend half their money from working hard all year long, go just to pay housing. That contributes to children living in poverty, mothers living in poverty, seniors living in poverty. We can do better in Monterey County. So I've worked on a tool for 3 years to help cities just like Salinas, cities that are struggling economically, to bring jobs, but also 25% set aside for affordable housing. I want to carry that through to be successful and have Salinas be one of the first cities that set up this new type of tools for economic development. Here locally, but it would be a benefit and an example, hopefully, for the entire state of California.
So what steps will you take to collaborate with the cities to address and provide solutions to the homeless situation in Monterey County, especially since the demolition of Chinatown and the closing of iHelp Women's Shelter?
This is a really close issue to me. My district includes Chinatown, where we have over 250 individuals who are living out on the street, who are homeless. But they're not just the homeless. These are our community members. They're our brothers and sisters. They're our family members. And I always say, we look out for the least among us. The poor, the homeless, the marginalized. If we could lift them up, we lift our entire city and our state as a whole. I think we could do better because there's somebody who's been in office, my opponent who left this forum here today, and nothing has been done in 15, 16 years, even though he represented District 1. We should have been able to do some pilot programs to do small home communities for the homeless. We should have built affordable housing and had it zoned. And we should have a year-round shelter, not just for 3 months out of the year during the storm. We should have a year-round shelter in the largest city in the Monterey Bay. So I'm going to work to get that done. Because, like I said, we can do better. We lead by example, by compassion for everyone in our community, not pushing them out, not enforcing draconian measures.
The next question you have 2 minutes for. Monterey County for the past several years has been the most violent place in the state for youth. Gang violence is at epidemic levels in the county, especially in District 1. What will you do in very concrete terms to mobilize against gang violence in Monterey County? 2 minutes.
This is a very good question. Last year, Salinas, especially District 1, had the record rate of homicides in the state of California. 3 out of the last 4 years, it was the highest youth murder rate per capita in California. Our kids we could do better for our children and for our families. No parent should have to worry about their child when they're walking to school or coming back home. And we could do several things. First of all, in Monterey County, we should be reforming our juvenile detention policies. And there's been other counties and other cities in other parts of the country that have implemented a model, restorative justice model, so that young people are not just coming in and out of the system, from the juvenile system into the adult prison system, because it's a failed system. Young people will have less opportunities, and they're guaranteed to have a lifetime in the criminal justice system. We could do better. When Santa Cruz County implemented what I'm talking about, the recidivism rate among young people dropped dramatically. It was measured with data. It was successful. But also, in some of our neighborhoods, we have a lack of investment from the city and from the county, a lack of parks, a lack of community gardens, a lack of recreation center for some neighborhoods that have the greatest challenges because there's not much to do for young people. I want to focus it, and the county is going to have new income that wasn't available before for us to not just have this as an idea, but to have it as resources to actually make it happen for better neighborhoods, for more parks, and for a better future for young people.
This question is 1 minute. What should the county's role be in bringing better economic opportunities to East Salinas?
Yeah, this is a very challenging question. How do we bring more jobs, more opportunity? Certainly, one of the most important tools that cities had was redevelopment. It was a tool that, instead of sending all your taxes to Sacramento, cities like Salinas were able to keep it and use that money and those resources to attract other employers. If they were going to come to a certain neighborhood, you could fix it the streets, you could fix it the light, the sewer system, to incentivize employers to come in here. It was also used to help small businesses that are already here to grow. You give them some additional resources, they could create more jobs. That tool went away, I brought it back, and only targeted to cities just like Salinas. Dicen, ¿cómo podemos traer trabajos? Yo hice una propuesta de ley que ayuda a ciudades como Salinas a mantener más impuestos para poder traer más empleadores y traer más trabajos como lugares como el Alisal, el este de Salinas. Yo me quiero enfocar para implementar esta nueva ley que apenas firmó el gobernador y yo creo que va a ser una gran ayuda para toda la ciudad de Salinas próximos siguientes años.
The next question is a 2-minute question. Land use decisions in Monterey County for decades have been described as battles between those who want to protect the environment on one side and those who want to protect jobs on the other. How do you see it? And what are smart land use decisions for you?
Well, I've been very proud to work on this issue. This is an issue that is a big one for all rural cities. They have growing challenges with needing to develop more jobs, build more affordable housing, but also how do you protect prime agricultural land? So in other cities, the model examples were that they brought stakeholders together. They worked it out. They approved smart growth boundaries for a community where they said, we're going to designate, for the next 25 years, we're going to protect all this farmland, but we're going to limit growth and new jobs and housing to only a certain segment of the community and infill as much as possible. I think that's a smart way to do it, where you find consensus and agreement. It's worked for other cities, and you're able to find a win-win. Even though some people think it's very controversial, there's a better way, a model way to do it right, and that's the approach I'm going to take as the next county supervisor. Dicen, ¿cómo podemos construir más viviendas económicas, traer más trabajos, pero también preservar agricultura de los campos que tenemos alrededor de la ciudad de Salinas? En otras comunidades han traído gente juntas, han hallado un acuerdo entre todos, donde vamos a proteger los campos, pero también designar una área donde vamos a construir más viviendas, traer más trabajos, más empleadores para mejorar, y es un balance, tener los mejores de dos lados.
This is a one-minute question. Please explain to us what your position is on fracking in Monterey County.
I know this is going to be a big issue this year in Monterey County. I've always been very vocal in Sacramento. We passed the first legislation, SB4, to protect against fracking. It implemented the first regulations, the first monitoring, the first reporting for the first time in California history. But there's more that needs to be done. But I've always been an advocate not supporting fracking here locally. In fact, when the Bureau of Land Management was going to try to lease some lands for exploration, it was Sam Farr and I who sent a letter to the BLM asking them not to do that, because this is not something that I think has a support in our community. What I am concerned about is with this most recent measure, it includes steam injection. That is what we have happening in San Arlo, and it generates about $8 million to the county. If you include that and you try to ban something that brings in that much money, it could hurt jobs, hurt services for the county, hurt union jobs, and I think that's what I'm concerned with, and so that's the only part that I think could have an adverse impact on the services that the county offers to its residents.
The next question is 2 minutes. Monterey County is projecting a $16 million budget deficit for next year. If you are elected, what positions would you try to save or cut, and what avenues would you pursue to increase revenues to the county?
Right, this is another good question. These are the challenges facing a lot of cities and counties. We think we did a good job in Sacramento. When I came in, we were facing a $26 billion deficit. 5 years later, we have a surplus. So we've turned California's economy around for the better, and I was part of that effort. I look forward to trying to do the same here in Monterey County, whether it's supporting revenue-generating measures that bring more money for transportation for the county, but also there's a new taxing that will happen of cannabis that it will be taxed 10 to 12% in Monterey County. That should bring in millions of dollars to help offset some of the deficit that we're talking about. Lo que me preguntaron es ellos piensan que quizá va a haber 16 millones de no suficientes fondos del condado. ¿Cómo podemos traer más fondos para tener un presupuesto fiscal balanceado del condado? Y yo siempre he apoyado medidas que nos traen más impuestos, más recursos para el condado, pero también hay otras cosas que van a estar colectando impuestos que va a traer millones de dólares al condado, que es fondos nuevos que no existían anteriormente. Para mí, yo quiero usar esos fondos para enfocar en los servicios más críticos para nuestras familias, y eso va a ser mi trabajo como el próximo supervisor.
Another 2-minute question. Monterey County government is the largest employer in the county with about 4,000 employees. How do you ensure as a member of the board that its many agencies operate effectively? And what would you do to ensure a high level of performance?
Well, first of all, I want to really recognize we have a lot of dedicated workers who are employed for the counties. When they had their forum, just like we're having tonight, and they put the 3 candidates before their members, and they got to hear all 3 of us and what we thought and what answers we had to address this very question. How do you prioritize services? How do you make sure that we're putting the resources where it's most needed? At the end of that night, I walked away with 95% of the support of SEIU employees that night. It was overwhelming. I was very honored because these are the people that we're talking about. And I always say, what we have to look at is preserve the services and the jobs that are most critical to our families. And where you have top administration, a lot of waste from the top managers, positions that we probably don't need as much, we probably can find the savings there and make sure that we're prioritizing those jobs, those services that directly provide services to our families and our neighborhoods. I look forward to doing that as a supervisor, but you need somebody who's going to hold them accountable, hold the directors of the different departments accountable, and asking the right questions about looking over the budgets, making sure that the dollars are spent in the right place, that we're not wasting a lot of money on attorneys and outside consultants, because trust me, that happens in the millions of dollars here in Monterey County. We need to ask the right questions and have oversight as a supervisor, and I'll certainly carry out that role when you elect me.
Also a 2-minute question. Monterey County is one of the least affordable places to live in the nation, and places of work and affordable housing are often far apart. In very concrete terms, what would you do to make housing more affordable or to reduce the length of commutes in Monterey County?
Well, this big question about affordable housing, how do we do it and how do we do it right? First of all, the state has an obligation because when they eliminated redevelopment, it took away the most important tool that used to give funds to every city and county to build affordable housing. It used to generate $1 billion, and when they eliminated it in 5 years, imagine $5 billion where cities and counties have not built affordable housing. And now you have a growing population competing for the same housing, whether it's houses for sale or whether it's rental housing, and that has driven up rents. Salinas was a city with the highest rent increase last year out of any city in California. And that's why. A growing population, not enough housing, everybody's competing and driving rents to an all-time high. That's not the way to go. So what I have to do is continue to work in Sacramento to create funds for us to carry that out. But here in Monterey County is to start zoning these areas and partnering with affordable housing developers so we can infill it. As I walk around the city, there's a lot of different lots where we don't have to build outward. We can fill in these infill sites first and build housing that's economical. But it's not, like I said, it's not only houses for sale. There needs to be more apartments built, more studios, so that people would have a range of options of where to live in this community. But it's also incumbent upon other parts of the county to also do their fair share. In Monterey and Pacific Grove and in South County, every area has an obligation to do their fair share of where they're going to zone and build housing for our families, not just in Salinas, but throughout the entire county, so it's equitably distributed.
Do you have any proposals to stimulate economic development in Monterey County?
I think what we're trying to do here in Monterey County is trying to attract and do a better job of attracting employers to come and invest here. It's the most important thing. If you really want to address violence, if you really want to address poverty, it's going to be our top priority as supervisors to try to attract employers and make this a good place to come and invest and bring good manufacturing, light industrial jobs that could really help pay a livable wage for our local families. But you have to do that. Cities have to have certain incentives. So the governor created the California Compete Tax Credit. That is where we could encourage employers to apply, and they could get hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of tax credits for people that they hire, for machinery that they buy when they come and invest in places like Salinas. Right now, it's a new program. A lot of that money is going to Los Angeles, to San Francisco. We got to make sure we hold the GoBiz office to make sure that they're giving credits to companies to come and invest in places like Salinas as well, and I'll continue to do that in my supervisor role.
Monterey County government has repeatedly come under criticism for lack of transparency. What steps would you take to increase transparency in local government?
Well, two things. First of all, about transparency. One is how do we increase civic engagement, civic activism? I think that when we have an active citizenry, we have a good local government. And so, first of all, what I want to do as an ex-supervisor is create a Citizens Academy from people from District 1, where we introduce them about how to get engaged, how to shape decisions, how to get involved, not only in the county or city government, but in their own neighborhoods. We have to organize. And I think that is fundamental if we want to really help change some of our neighborhoods around. In terms of transparency, though, I've been a big advocate. Even before I was ever in politics, as a lawyer, I did litigation. I held local governments accountable when they were not wanting to comply with the Brown Act, with the Public Records Act. I think that those laws, those state sunshine laws, were created to make sure that we're being transparent and informing the government, informing the citizens of the actions that their county supervisors, the city council members, the school members are doing. So it's something that I practice, but I'll make sure as a supervisor to make sure that we're following that properly in every meeting.
In Santa Cruz County, campaign contributions are limited to $200 per donor. In Monterey County, there is no limit. As a result, the average Board of Supervisors race in Santa Cruz County costs $20,000, and in Monterey County, 10 times more. Do you think campaign contributions should be capped? And what would you do to limit them?
Yes, I would be open to having campaign limits for Monterey County. When I was mayor of my city, previously, when I was serving the mayor for the city of Watsonville, my hometown, I implemented the first ever campaign limits for the city council elections. And the reason was is that people, a lot of grassroots candidates, they do small forums. They ask people to donate $20, $25. They do hard work. And then it gets overshadowed sometimes when you got one person just giving a $10,000 check or a $20,000 check. I think that only empowers the big donors. It just empowers everyday hardworking people whose check is just as important for any candidate. So I've done it in my past local government experience. I would be open to implementing that as a supervisor, and I think it's very much needed here in Monterey County as well. And I hope to get all of you.
Are you concerned that ICE is allowed to operate in Monterey County Jail? And if elected, what would you do about it?
This is a very good question about immigration or ICE in our county jail. When I got elected to the assembly, I worked with the former sheriff, Scott Miller, even before they passed the Trust Act, because we wanted to put limits on deporting families when they committed no crimes or they committed small crimes. And so the legislature and the governor signed that law, the Trust Act. I was a co-author of it, but even before that bill was signed, I got the sheriff to agree to do the right thing and change that policy. Now there's a new program. Now instead of doing immigration holds, ICE is in the county jail, and as people get released, they're the ones who immediately get them and put them into deportation proceedings. That shouldn't happen. So that's why this year we got a new measure in Sacramento. I'm a co-author of that legislation to make sure we stop and put limits and checks on ICE having free reign in our local jails. Este es el asunto de inmigración estando aquí en la cárcel. Este año tenemos una nueva propuesta de ley para poner límites en todas las cárceles por todo el estado para que no se lleven a personas cuando no cometieron ningún delito o cuando solamente fue un delito menor. Eso lo vamos a reformar.
Assemblymember Alejo, this is the final question, and this is a 2-minute question, and then we'll ask you for your closing statement. What is the Board of Supervisors' role in resolving the water crisis in Monterey County? How should it be resolved? What will you do to build consensus?
Well, everybody, first of all, we passed a new law that requires every groundwater basin to have a sustainable water management plan so that we're not using more than what we have, so that it's balanced, so we protect our environment, protect our water. Every region in the state is doing this as we speak, but I've been the leader to implement one of the most important water storage project for the Salinas Valley, that is the Inner Lake Tunnel Project at Lake Nacimiento in San Antonio. I got the governor to sign a bill to make the project go faster and be cheaper. This year I'm fighting for $25 million to get a state match to make this project a reality. It's been talked about for decades. Now we're ready to move it forward. But I did it right by bringing everyone together. I brought the farmers together. I've been working with my friend, the building trades, and Ron Cheshire back there to get labor on board, get the farmers on board, working with the supervisors, working with the governor to make sure we get this bill off the ground. That it's not just a concept, but it's an idea. And why is it important? Because we'll have more water being stored in Monterey County. It'll help recharge the groundwater basin. We'll have more water for flows to protect protected species like steelhead fish in the Salinas River. We'll be able to deal with flood management and also help with saltwater intrusion. So it has many different benefits through this one project that I've been working hard with many others to make it a reality. And when I come back to the supervisors, to the County Board of Supervisors, I want to work to actually construct it and make it happen, and it'll be something that we could all be really proud of here in the Salinas Valley. Para cerrar, just to close everybody, I want to first of all thank you for coming out. Again, it's really an honor to come before my Democratic leaders and my community members to ask for your endorsement of the Monterey County Democratic Party. I think I found myself in the ranks with you. All my years in the Assembly, and when I was on the City Council before, I was always active in the Democratic Party. I've been going to every convention since 2004. I was a delegate for President Obama in the 2008 and the 2012 National Democratic Party Convention, and I want to keep working hard for you. You sent me to Sacramento, I showed that I could get work done, build consensus, get results for our community. Para mí es un honor venir a frente de ustedes pidiendo el apoyo del Partido Demócrata porque he sido activo todos mis años en la política, pero también me mandaron a Sacramento para traer resultados, traer un acuerdo entre muchas diferentes personas, y por eso el año pasado tuve las más propuestas de ley firmadas por el gobernador Jerry Brown. Last year I had the most bills signed by Governor Brown more than any other legislator out of the 80 assembly members, the 40 state senators. But I will be very honored to earn your support. I'm going to win this District 1 Supervisor race, but I want to do it with the endorsement of the Monterey County Democratic Party. I'm asking for your support. Thank you for having me here. And again, I think this is the first time where another opponent walked away because he saw the communities here, he saw your support. That speaks volumes, but I'm here to answer your questions, come before you, not fully an endorsement forum that I had agreed to participate in. So thank you for staying and hearing me out, and I'll be honored to have your support.
For being here. Thanks to all of the members of the board and those who are taping this and making it available. Muchas gracias a todos. Es una elección muy importante en junio y también en noviembre. Entonces, todos tienen que votar.